Hey, my name is Steve, and I'm kind of a DIY kind of person. I've got a lot of experience being a mechanic. I'm a retired ASA master technician for auto repair. Um, Plus, I've been doing fabrication, things like that for years. Now I'm retired or soon to be, and I can never figure out why people aren't using pallets for a lot of their projects. And the reason why is that when you're buying wood, let's say you're buying these 2x6s from Home Depot or Lowe's, uh, it's very kind of a crappy wood. It's very soft. You put a screw through it and it wants to keep on going all the way through, which means it's a very soft wood. The thing is that I found out a few years back about pallets on my own, because I was like, this is really good wood, and they're trashing pallets. You know, they're throwing them away. I got Skid Row playing in the background. Anyways, every time I tried to pull a nail out of a pallet like this, they literally would break off, or you couldn't pull them out. I mean, they're nearly impossible. There's a couple of reasons why. Number one is the nail, okay? So what they use is they use a nail like this, but if you look at it, there's little screws into it. So when it goes in, it screws itself in. And I've seen the pallet makers on other videos, and they're just like boom, 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 hitting them real fast, but they got a lot of air pressure going on their guns. But they got to use that because this wood is so freaking hard. It's very difficult to just pull the nails out. I mean, taking these boards out right here, these are little 1x5s. You would think that they would come out real simple. No, actually, you destroy the top wood and the nails stay behind. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of some of the secrets that I found myself by doing pallets. Okay, so I made a tool. I don't have it here, but I seen a TV show where they're doing demo, and they have this thing here called the Honey Badger. Now that's my wife's nickname, Honey Badger. She doesn't like the name, but I like the name. She doesn't like the name because she thinks it's a honey badger because they're wild and crazy. Okay, that's not necessarily true. They're very lovable. They're very kind. They're very protective. So it's kind of both. So you've got a really nice, mild-mannered person, but you give them shit, they're going to go after you. That's why I call her my honey badger. Anyway, enough of her. So this one here is called a honey badger demo fork. And I seen that because there's a TV show of a couple of ladies up in Seattle, I believe it is, up in that area. And they hire these people to come in and demo these places that they buy for really cheap. And then they repop them, they resell them. So good for them. Doing very good, really good TV show on there. Very informative. A couple of hippie girls driving around in a VW bus. You know, they're really, really good people. So, but again, I was trying to figure out why are people not using pallets? Because the wood is really freaking hard. It's really strong stuff. Plus, it's pretty straight. Okay, so I go to a place and pick up pallets, and because I want the 4x4s. Okay, this actually says Pacific Metal. Basically, my landlords that I have at my shop, they do water jetting. So the customers order some heavy steel, 3, 4, 5 inches thick, so they can water jet them. They can't put them on a real light pallet. They have to have them on a real strong pallet. Sometimes they're 12 to 15 feet long, and those are 12 to 15 foot long 2x4s or 4x6s. I mean, it's freaking crazy. Now the little pallets, you know, the 48 by 40s, they're by 2x4s, and they're just not worth a shit. But anything that's 6 feet or longer usually has the 4x, and the 4x4s, I use them quite a bit for things. So I'm going to show you what I actually built with one of my pallets. Okay, so I did have to buy, this is a 1 1/8 inch thick plywood. I don't want to use that press board CDX particle board crap. That's just garbage. It's just shredded garbage glued together. Get it wet, it fucking folds. And that's what I understand is why do people build houses with that, for one, because it's cheap. But when they're building it in the spring or in the fall and it rains, that shit swells and then gets black mold onto it. No. We're going to remodel our house. It's all going to be with real plywood. Okay. Anyway, I built this table here, as you can see. Now, the top, like I said, is 1 1/8 inch plywood. I got it for like 42 bucks. Today is, I think it's June 10th of 2024. And it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, about 9 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, I had to buy the 4x8 sheet of plywood. These pieces of wood that are down below here, those are grade C 2x6s. And they're not the greatest, but they're really, the only thing I'm using them for is the sides, and that's it. But all of these legs and all of these beams that actually run across here, this is all 4x4s from reclaimed pallets. So 4x4 legs, 4x4, all of the deals underneath here, those are 4x4, those are 2x4s, again from a pallet. So literally the only thing I had to spend was I bought a 20-foot 2x6, and that was, I think that was 20 bucks. And then the 4x8 tabletop was another 40. So I've got 60 bucks into a freaking table. I could barely pick it up. This thing is really fucking heavy. It's really nice. I'll show you a little bit about what I did underneath it here. So as you can see, it's just simplified. Okay. And these are actually 3x4s that are also from pallets, and you can tell because of the numbers that are on here. So I just use those for the center legs, but then I use the 4x4s on the legs themselves. These are 4x4s. This thing is bulletproof. So again, I'm going to walk you guys through on how to do this thing. I'm going to move my little mechanics card out of the way, so you can get really nice 4x4 pieces of wood. Okay. First thing you do is you go find a place that has pallets stacked up on the side of their building. It's not hard to find. Go to the fab shops, wood shops, things like that. They'll have piles of pallets up there. They'll even have an ad on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace for pallets. Don't grab the small ones. Grab the big ones that have the 4x4s on each end right there. I'm not going to probably use these at all. So what I do with those, because they're going to get blasted, they're going to get broken, and they're not really usable, is I basically have two burn barrels. And basically, because they're split, because those nails are impossible to get out, okay? So if you wanted to use the pieces of wood, and some of them do come out, there's a tool that you can have to extract those, which is really great. But basically, I just throw this into a pallet, or I'm sorry, into a burn barrel, and then I burn them, and all of the nails get in the bottom of it, so I can, in a few days after they're done cooking, they're just ash, and the nails are left behind. So then I'll dump it onto a tarp, and I'll run a magnet that I have over it. It's one that you can get from Home Depot, and just put it onto a tarp or whatever, and just run over the ashes with the magnet, and then you pick them up and put them into a bin. If you want to take them for scrap, you can, but it's not worth it, because unless you get, a ton or two, you're not going to get really anything for it. So basically what you want to do is just take the nails. You can throw them in your, got a piece of little sliver from the wood, but anyway, so basically you can just throw them in your dumpster, because the garbage people that pick up your stuff, the first thing they do is they run it into a plant. They pick it up, they sort it, and the sorting involves, first they run a magnet, so it picks up every bit of everything, so that way they're not sending magnetic particles that they can get money for in bulk, because they deal with bulk. So all these nails are going to be recycled anyway. They don't throw them in the garbage and then put them in the landfill. That's wrong. They would never do that. So basically they pick out the ferrous material, which is magnetic material like steel, cast iron, things like that. Anything that's not, like aluminum, things like that, they have pickers that will actually pick it out by hand. Or if it's heavy enough, they have air blowers that blow the debris like paper and stuff like that away from it, make it a little bit easier for people to pick them out. Okay, so there's no way in hell that anything that is recyclable is not going to be recycled. Now, paper is another story, because everybody here in the United States, we try and recycle as much as we can. But unfortunately, the only people who were actually doing the recycling religiously was China, but China is not doing that anymore. And that's been a couple of years where they're like, hey, screw you, we've got enough of our own stuff. So right now, paper is really not being taken care of, or plastics for very much. And if you do find like a milk bottle or something, or a milk jug or something like that, it's probably like 5% plastic. They'd prefer to use good stuff. Anyways, I have a tool, like I said, that resembles this, but it has these two forks removed, So you can slide these in between the pallet. So those two fingers in the middle wouldn't be there. And these fingers here are actually angled a little bit higher up. So if you want to make something, you can make something with a steel bar. Have this finger up to here at an angle. So when you slide underneath of it here, the handle is sticking up here, and then you roll it down, and this part here actually rolls against the 4x4 right here and lifts them right up. But because I don't have that tool, I forgot it at the shop. I'm going to show you what I do here. So, okay, so we're just going to basically slide this here on the 4x, slide it underneath. Here we go. There's one. And you can hear it squealing like a pig trying to come out because those nails don't want to be coming out. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this board. Seems like the board itself released everything. Okay, so on a good day, you'll get the nails coming out. I got all 6 nails out. And that's good because it's going to be easier for the job here. But let me show you this here. I had these 4x, and the wood was not so friendly, which is this is the stuff that actually came out in those barrels. So this is how I'm going to show you guys how to remove these nails. And you can't really use a hammer, because the claw hammer will actually break the heads right off. So you have to be faster and smarter than the nails themselves. Now, like I said, this wood, I'm picking this up with one arm, and it's really heavy. I'd probably say this, let's see, it's probably, let's grab a tape measure. We are 12 feet. So I have a free 12-foot 4x4 that's made out of some really hard freaking wood. Okay. So I have a tool, and there's a couple of them. I'm going to put the camera down. But there's a couple of these. And there's this gun here. And yeah, this is Chinese made, and I don't know who in the United States makes these machines. But you got this one here, which is nail puller. Let me grab the other tool. Okay, so this one here, it takes nails, and you put the nail, so you have a board, and this nail is sticking up. You can take this and slide it over the top. Okay, so you got this. You slide it over the top. If it's bent, you put it over there and you bend it, pull the trigger, and there's a piston up here, and it pushes down, and it basically takes the nail and forces it through the wood, and you're done. That's it. I mean, but you got to watch out. What I usually do is I take the plywood, the 1x4 or whatever comes off the pallets, and you got to put it over a garbage can. And the reason why, I have 140 pounds of PSI pressure coming out of my airline. So when I take this and I put it over the nail and I hit that button, this thing here shoots out like a rocket and goes right through that 1x4 with absolutely no problem. Now the reason why I use this instead of a hammer and go tap, 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 and then turn it over and then do this and pull it out with a claw hammer, is because you're doing 2 steps. So you're tapping it down, hopefully the nail isn't bent. If it is bent over like this, you gotta take the claw and you gotta bend it upwards like this and hit it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. But instead you use this tool, put the nail over a garbage can. I've got metal garbage cans around here, so I'll put the piece of wood over the metal garbage can, hit the trigger, and this thing here shoots out like a freaking rocket, and you could literally shoot it across the room if you're not putting it over a garbage can. And I had my stepbrother come in here, help me do this a little bit ago, and he shot one and it hit his shoe, his tennis shoe, and he's like, damn, that hurt. That's because it's shooting just this projectile. So, and depending on the wood, if you've got a soft piece of wood, it's going to shoot like a rocket. If it's a hard piece of wood, because some of the pieces of wood that they have on the bottom of the pallets are sometimes pretty strong, it'll take a couple of hits to it, but 99% of the time I'll have one hit and the thing's good. So this one here, basically when you have the piece of wood, these little jaws right here are just like a claw hammer, so it's sitting way down to here. So what you're going to do is you're going to put this, so this will be sticking out about this far. You put it down here, Okay, don't put it up here because it doesn't give it much of a throw. But if you go down to here, this part here shoots upwards and it goes up pretty far. It goes up about 3 inches or so. Okay, maybe even more. See, it disappears. It is it's about 4 inches deep. Okay, so what I do is I take this, put it in like this, and when I pull the trigger, it has 1 inch of travel before to pick up speed, hits it, and then bam, pulls it out. Okay, and when you're running this thing, it's really cool because, so what you do is you got these nails that are right here. Bring that over to the camera better. So you got these 3 nails here. Now you can put your hand over like this. So I've got about a 1/4 inch of travel before this claw right here hits the nail. Don't have very much. But if I just pull the trigger, it's going to put the nail somewhere on the table. But you can put your hand over like this because there's nothing here. There's no slide that's going to get your hand into it. So I usually just put my hand in here, leave it straight, go like that. There's my nail. Okay. Again, same thing, straight down. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And these are the nails. I think you can see. There's little, it's a screw. It's like a freaking drill bit on a nail head. Okay. So this one here, there we go. That one took 3 tries because it was really embedded in there. And that's why I'm saying that some of this wood is really freaking hard. I mean, this is a really straight 4x. The only thing that I can see that's going to be an issue is this knot. So I could at least use 8 feet of this to make another table if I want to. And then I can cut right here, but then there's another one here. So I can use at least a couple of, about 1.5 feet, and you got a foot here. So this wood is really super hard. Very difficult to get nails out of, but if you just buy these 2 tools that are right here, it's amazing. Now the thing is that I started looking for them on eBay, and they have them on eBay and they have them on Amazon, but 90% of the people that are out there selling these things actually buy them from China for pennies on the dollar, then resell them for eBay and Amazon and make a good chunk of money because they'll sell them. I mean, this one here, they'll sell it for like $150, and I paid like $27 for it. Okay, and then the other one here that pushes the nails through, they'll say, oh, I want $125 for that one. So they want more money for this one here that pulls the nail heads out compared to the one that pushes them out. So they'll say, hey, I want $250 for the pair, and they literally paid maybe $60 for the pair. And they're making a killing off of people not knowing where to get them. So I have an account that I've been going through for about 5 years now. It's AliExpress, AliExpress.com. You can download the app on your phone too. It's AliExpress, but they have an ALI dash. But don't put that in on the internet, because if you put the dash in there, it takes you to some weird offset site that says, hey, we're these people, but they're not. They're not. No. Don't put any dashes or any word in between the words AliExpress, okay? And once you go there, you can type in nail extractor, nail remover, that kind of stuff, and you'll be able to get these things. There's a bunch of people that sell these on the manufacturers, which is China, unfortunately, because I don't know any American company that actually has these things available. So, unfortunately, you have to go through China, which is like, well, just about everything else is anyway, so what's the diff? You go to Harbor Freight Tools, 99.9% of everything is made in China. That's why it only lasts a week and a half, if you're lucky. I bought a Sawzall from Harbor Freight Tools, knowing, she's like, oh, do you want to pay for the extended warranty? It's like $12. I go, no, it'll probably only last me a day, and there's a 1-year warranty onto it, or a lifetime or something like that. And she's like, okay. I think the thing lasts me like 5 minutes, and smoke's just rolling out of it, and it just burned up, I think, within 5 minutes after I had it, which is expected. That's why I never buy the extended warranty from Harbor Freight. It's kind of almost a thing with me that if you're not buying Mac or Snap-on or Craftsman or something like that, even Craftsman, I believe now, is made in China, but if you're not buying quality tools, expect them not to last at all. Okay, I expect that if I go down to Harbor Freight and I buy a torque wrench, it's not going to be
accurate. If I buy sockets, I'm like, okay, if I buy chrome sockets, I'm expecting them to shatter. So I buy the hardened ones. If I did that, which I don't buy sockets from Harbor Freight. Anything that can cause physical impalement or injury, I don't buy from Harbor Freight. So, like an air tool, if I wanted an air tool, I don't expect them to last very much at all. Just little things, you know, some torque sockets or some, you know, a pry bar. Just remember the handle will probably break off. It's just the way how the quality difference between American made and Chinese made is different. They're about to make it as fast as possible, as cheap as possible, and that most of the time people here in the States, they'll just buy it, they'll destroy it, and then they'll just throw it away and then just go buy another one or reluctantly buy it again. But unfortunately, that's the way how our country's kind of gotten, because there's a lot of people out there that own businesses that don't give a shit, and they put inferior products. But there's a lot of people out there in the States that really want to put out a high quality product and put their name onto it and back it up. Stanley's a good one, Snap-on, of course, Mac. Let's see, there's a couple of other tool guys, but they're not as popular, but they're just as good. Okay, I can't even remember their name because I don't think I've bought anything really off the truck, because you'll very rarely see their truck rolling through. But the mechanics don't buy the stuff because they won't see the guy for 6 months or a year. Okay, so I wished back in the 80s and 90s, Craftsman, actually before they closed down, before Sears closed down, but I wish that Craftsman would have actually had trucks that drove around. I would have been a distributor for them, because I would have been like, hey, these things are lifetime warranty, so let's start making some of this stuff and made it in the USA, and you know, make some good quality tools for about 1/3 the cost of Snap-on and Mac. Because if you think about it, the first thing they do is they take their money and pay their corporate pinheads, is what I call them. They pay them that money, but then they take millions of dollars that they've made in profit, and rather than lowering the prices, they sponsor or own drag race cars. Why would I want to pay somebody money so they could take my money and $100,000 of other people's money and go buy just an engine? Then they have to spend $20,000 on just a differential or a transmission, and then they have like 12 bodies laying around, you know, for the cars, and all the people making $100,000 plus just racing a car that has Snap-on or Mac. Matco is another one. That's another one I was thinking of. There's a couple more, but why would I want to pay these big corporate people all this money, thinking that, hey, I'm paying for a good quality product? But wait a minute, the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking my money, giving it to them so they can go race a car that has no benefit or anything for the mechanic working on the damn things, because it doesn't do shit for us. So I wish they would actually lower their prices and stop getting into these cars. If they want to do it, then people just need to do it on their own dime and not use corporate sponsoring or corporate money, or, hey, I'm sure they probably pay $10 million a year easily just to run a Snap-on car, drag car, funny car, any kind of car. Okay, I can see about sponsoring somebody, but not owning a freaking race car company. Okay, so anyway, you know, and Craftsman didn't do that. Craftsman, I believe, would sponsor a car, but I don't think they ever owned a car, which that's probably why their prices were better. But you can find a Craftsman rent set for like $25. You go buy the same thing from Snap-on, it's if you're lucky, $175 or $250. That's because they have all this money they got to make, and they want to make. Even my Snap-on driver, he made so much money, it was ridiculous, but he had to work 80 hours a week just to try and get it. Okay, so anyway, enough of that. Like I said, go to AliExpress, look up nail remover, and then you'll get these two. One that punches it out, and the other one is has a claw on the end of it. Find the ones with free shipping, because you got to watch out, because just like eBay, it'll say, oh, it's $39.95. You're like, oh, great. And then you go to checkout, and you don't really look at the numbers, and there's $157 in shipping. You're like, oops, I think I screwed up. So a lot of people didn't realize that in the 80s or the 90s and the 2000s, that people were charging 5 times as much for shipping than what was normal onto it. Or they'd say, yeah, this item's $5, but it's $195 in shipping. I've even seen people where they're selling some item, and they're selling it for, everybody's selling it for like $400. They're selling it for like $99. And then you look at the shipping, it's $2,400. I'm like, and it says there was 7 sold. And I would contact the seller and I go, well, what's going on here? There's no way it's $2,400 in shipping for this little item. And then they just go, well, we've sold a bunch of them, so, if you want, go for it. It's like, some people are, just real dicks when it comes to business owners, okay? Anyways, so hopefully you guys have some fun with these things. You don't have to work as hard. You got to work smarter, not harder. That's how I made good money being a mechanic. Look at it, analyze the situation, find out what you need to do with it. And with this one here, I'll have that one pallet. I'll show you this one pallet here. Like, it only took me a couple of minutes, but this pallet here, I'll have that pallet broken down in about 5 minutes, if that. I'll come over here, and all these nails that are all the way down the length of this, all of those nails are all going to be pulled out not even in 3 minutes. You've seen how fast it took me to pull 3 nails with this thing, and it was super fast. And then I have my pallets that are laying up against the wall right there. I'm going to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 pallets. Or 7 4x4s, and it may have taken me 20 minutes altogether. And once you have all the nails out, you can cut it to whatever size. You can make tables with it, like this. Nice little wooden table. Gosh, you could just make a bunch of stuff. I'm going to make a few more tables around here. And yeah. Oh, by the way, it's really funny is this whole thing, I call my wife's deer garden because the deer like to eat all of her food. But since we put this thing up here, it's golden. That whole thing, minus the wood, the wooden poles, that's a 5-inch pole, that's a 4, that's a 4, that's all those are 12-foot round fence posts. And we have a post hole digger, so we're able to do that. So we're not using one of those, and just dig a hole manually. And they're in the ground about 3-4 feet. But every bit of this whole thing is all made with pallets. Okay. Sometimes you're lucky and you get some 2x6s. So these ones here, the big long beams that are up there, those are 8-footers. Those were for a titanium carrying pallet. So keep the wood, have fun with it, use it. It's free. It's harder than hell, which is a good thing when you're making stuff, because you don't want pine and you don't want fir from Harbor Freight or Lowe's or something like that, because it's just really crappy wood to begin with. And this stuff here it's not really a hardwood, but man, it is hard. It's trying to get the nails out is a bitch. But once you get them out, this stuff cuts really nice. It's indestructible. You could paint it, make it look great. Oh, here's another instance here. So these pieces of metal right here in this little planter bed was actually off of, we have this shed that's right here. So I replaced the sides, this side and then that side and the back side with all brand new tin. And it's all green now. So the doors up front here are going to be replaced as well and upgraded. But I took the walls that were off to the side. There was a lean-to that had a roof, and it had this old tin that was on here, it was all rusty. So I cut that, and once I cut it, and I have a plasma cutter, so I just cut it in no time. But all of this wood that made this whole thing is all made out of pallets. These are 2x4s and 4x6s. So yeah, basically there's a 2x6, these are 2x4s, those are 2x4s, and I have long screws that come into here. They got a 5/16 head, and they go probably in about 3 or 4 inches into that 2x4. So, but yeah, you can make some really neat shit just by using scrap that people don't want. They'll be like, get it out of here, have a nice day. Just make sure when you look at the pallets, just make sure that you look at these beams and make sure that they're straight, because sometimes they have a lot of wobbles into them. Some of them, they'll have big knots into them. This one here has this seam right here, which that's not good for construction, but the rest of the 4x4 is great. But I'd rather have 6 feet of 4x4 for free and just take the other 2 feet that's not really good, just throw it in my burn barrel or barrels and just burn it up.
You know, you don't want to take it and throw it into a burn pile because you're stuck with nails. So that's why I use burn barrels, so all the nails will float to the bottom or sink to the bottom of the barrel, and then you can take those later out, like I said, with a magnet. So anyways, I hope that's a little bit of information for you. Hopefully you guys have some fun with these things. Use them. People can make chicken coops out of them. People can make just about anything you want to out of them, and you don't have to pay for anything. The only thing you need is those are tools there to make your job 100%, 100% faster, quicker, easier. You won't sweat to death doing this stuff, and then you just have fun putting stuff together. So pallets is the best way to go, just because you can make whatever you want to, and it's free material, and I don't have to make a trip to Lowe's and Home Depot and go, man, I need a 4x4, or I need a 2x6, or I need a da-da-da-da-da. Well, I've got enough wood stacked up in my wood shed that I can just grab whatever I need to, and I'm good to go. So hopefully you guys have fun with it. Make whatever you want to. A little bit of information for you. No bullshit kind of stuff going on here. So if you guys have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to ask, and I'll try and answer when I can. Okay? Well, you guys have a great day, and catch you later. Bye-bye.